Hello guys, today we'll be doing a speed test of the Galaxy S10 versus the Galaxy S21. So, both these guys are Snapdragon variants, so the Snapdragon 855 versus the Snapdragon 888, and they both have 8 gigabytes of RAM. I believe this one is LPDDR4 and this one is LPDDR5. Basically, what that means is this has faster RAM, and for storage, this one has 128 gigabytes. This one is 256 because that's the variant I got. Normally, this would also have 128. This one is UFS 2.1. This one is UFS 3.1. So the storage speed is also faster on this guy, meaning when you take pictures and stuff, they will process faster, ideally, and read, write, all that stuff. So when you transfer files. Anyway, let's start the test. So, first of all, I want to show what software both phones are running. So, over here on the S10, we have One UI 3, and on the S21, we have One UI 3.1. And this is basically just Samsung's flavor on top of Android. It's kind of hard to explain in this video. It's out of scope of this video. But this has an older version of One UI. The newer version will only really bring new features. It's not gonna matter too much for the speed test which One UI version is running. What matters more is the Android version because they're both running Android 11. And moving on, they both have the February patch for the Google Play system updates. And at the bottom, right here, the S10 has the February Android security patch level. The S21 has the March security patch level. Because I just got the March patch like today, so it should be fun to test, and I'll go over this graph and this little number in a second. But first of all, let's do a boot up test because those are fun to watch. It's to see which phone will boot up first. So they're going to sleep and waking and gonna wake up in a second. Well, sleep, but you know. So this one says Galaxy S10. This one only says Galaxy. I don't know why they got rid of the S21 text because they didn't feel like putting it on phones anymore. I don't really know why. Beats me. Anyway. Which one will boot up first? It looks like they both booted up around the same time. This one was like a second faster. However, that's not the whole story because after we enter a pin, you will see my super complicated pin. Anyway, you'll see, voila, the S21 is much faster. And yes, I had to do secure boot because the S21 doesn't support turning secure boot off, so I had to turn it on the S10, which makes booting up slightly slower, but it's more secure. Anyway, as I was mentioning before, the few tweaks we want to make. First of all, we have CPU monitor on both, which just says the temperature of the processor. And even though the S10 processor runs hotter, you don't feel the heat as much because this has a heat pipe. This one doesn't. This is glass, and this is plastic. So on glass, you won't feel the heat as much on the back of the device. So on our developer options, if we scroll down, I believe this feature is on Android 10 as well, but on Android 11, it got updated, so it has more stuff. We're going to use GPU Watch, which is a little graph at the top here that just shows us how much of the processor is currently being used. And unfortunately, I can't really move it down, sadly. Anyway, let's start with the first app. So we're going to start with the phone dialer because, you want your phone app to open up as fast as possible, right? Both happen at the exact same time. And that's probably good because you would want your phone to open up first. Also, quickly, I forgot to mention, I'm running at 60 hertz right now to make it more fair. It won't matter for a speed test, but it just make it look about as responsive as this phone. And they're both on the same Wi-Fi network. This one has the same card, this one doesn't. And also, in terms of battery, I believe both phones lost about 1% since this test started. Anyway, let's move on to Chrome. And let's load up. This one's still loading up to the Discover feed. let's load up a website. Let's load up an enemy's website. Enemy website. Apple, not apps. Apple.com on both, because I feel like we're going on Apple's website, buying an iPhone. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we'll enter both. Voila. What? I swear this one loaded up faster. Well, I guess Apple likes S10 more. Anyway, let's do a couple more sites. Let's do Samsung.ca. S21 was faster. They both have different ads. Anyway, let's just do shop now. S21 is faster, I want to say as well. Okay, learn more. One more on this website. This one loads some things faster. Anyway, moving on. Let's load up Twitter. Everyone's favorite website. Refresh. This one refreshed faster. Main feed. Mario, anyway. Refresh. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, that's the newest feed. What if we, for example, let's say we want to buy PS5. Which phone will get your PS5 faster? Looks like the S10 will. Okay. Since they're both running the same Wi-Fi network, the S10 might, the phone that I tap first might look faster because they're both trying to hog the same Wi-Fi. In fact, you can quickly do a Wi-Fi speed test. So if you just go on Chrome, I'm gonna make it fair by running them one at a time. So first of all, we are going to run the S10 first, because this one has had slower Wi-Fi for me. So we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt by giving it less bandwidth. And, okay, right now it's actually being pretty good, but my router is literally like right over there. Like there's a wall and the router's right behind that wall. And this is pretty much the maximum that my home's Wi-Fi supports anyway. So it's not because the Wi-Fi, well, in this context, it's not slower. But when I'm farther away from the router, the S21 I notice has a better Wi-Fi connection. And let's turn the S21. And like I said, it's performing about the same, if not just a little bit better, but not too much. Actually, wait, that's slower. S10 is faster. Anyway, maybe the latency might be better on the S21. I don't know. Wait, oh, the latency was actually better on S10. Interesting. Anyway, in my experience, aside from the speed test, which says something different, this one has a more consistent, better Wi-Fi for me. Anyway, let's move on, because this is a speed test after all. So we're gonna run up YouTube, and we're gonna go to, where is my channel? My channel. And which one will load up first? They both loaded about the same. How about this video? What if I want to run 4K on both? Because almost all of my videos are actually look, that one processed 4K slower. Anyway, we're gonna move swiftly along. Just let it run in the background. Let's run up this Samsung Members app. Most people probably don't even know exists. The reason I'm using this app for this test is because it takes a while to load on both phones. So you'll be able to see that gap a bit more drastically. As far as temperatures go, we're at 37 on S21, 41 on the S10, 40 right now. Anyway, Samsung Members, let's load it up. This is what I meant. It loaded up much faster on the S21 because it is a weirdly heavy app. Anyway, and finally, for the last not super processy app, I guess. Reddit. This one will say it's been updated, blah blah blah. Okay, refresh feed. Load this. Which one will load my comments faster? The S10 for some reason. That is weird. Okay. Okay, now it's S21. Ooh, a fiber optic wire. Anyway, interesting. It's not gonna matter for Reddit really later. So far, the S10 is keeping up quite well. But what about the camera app? Let's test the camera app real quick. In 3, 2, 1. S10, sorry, S21 was faster. How about loading the ultra-wide lens? Okay, we're gonna go back to main lens. Sorry, I apologize. And how about the telephoto? Okay, with 10x on both. Whoopsie. Okay, 10x on both. And back to the 1x. S10 was a little faster. So the camera switch, sorry, S21. I keep getting these confused. So the camera switching on the S21 is a bit faster. Okay, so before we move on to games and the benchmarking, let's see, did these phones, which both have 8 gigabytes of RAM, did they all keep all these apps in memory, or did one of the apps crash? Boom. Okay, both of those stayed in memory. That stayed in memory. That stayed in memory. Okay, so they both pretty much load. Wait, let's do one more app. Okay, that was not a really refresh. It was something weird. They both kept everything in memory, which is great. So now let's move on to some games. We're gonna run Asphalt 9. That's what all the cool kids are playing, right? And ideally the S21 should. Okay, they both loaded quite fast. But yes, the S21 was a bit faster. And next, let's load up Call of Duty. Activision logo appeared first on there. S21 is faster. It also has smaller bezels. Anyway. Next up, let's load a Geekbench result, or a Geekbench test. Well, these ones are running a little toasty. This is 50, this is 39. Let's run a CPU benchmark while they're both trying to desperately thermal throttle and not overheat and catch on fire. Let's run a Geekbench. So they probably are both going to score very poorly, meaning this test might take longer than usual. In fact, while we're doing this, let's test. Let's see if what kind of temperatures we're getting on the outside. So the S21 is about 37. We'll say that's the highest. What the S10? 39, 38. Okay, so the S10 is a bit warmer. But they're both about 37, 39 for the outside temperature. They also both have screen protectors, so they might make it more apparent. So keep in mind, these are thermal throttled scores. The scores both these phones have gotten before have been much better than this, but the S10 got a better single core. What? Versus the S21, but the S21 got a better multi-core. Interesting, but as proof that both these phones normally don't score this bad, I have some history here. So, for example, the highest I've gotten S21 was, ignore this score. This was these two are both again from throttled scores, but yes, this is how much should be normally. about 1080 and 3200. This is much worse than what to expect on S21. And same thing on the S10. Actually, no, on the S10, it looks like this was pretty much around the expected results. Okay, so maybe the S10 didn't. Okay, so maybe the S10 didn't follow then. They both feel about the same in terms of heat right now. Anyway, one last test. And then we will be done. We're going to run a free benchmark test on both phones. We're going to click run and we're going to go. And this test should hopefully not take as long as the Geekbench test. But the whole point of this test was to, Okay, so immediately, look at the FPS on S21. It is about 10 frames better. Still not super great, but yeah. On S10, the GPU is at 100%. It's a little bit less on the S21. So I guess the S21 doesn't have to strain the GPU as much as the S10 does in this test. Also, it took me way too long, but I realized, actually no, it just happened now. I'm pretty sure that the CPU temperature app crashed on both phones. So we can't see the temperature anymore, unfortunately. But we can still see this, the CPU. Okay, we're done. Well, that took less time than a Geekbench test did. And so in S10, we have 3000 for the overall score. S21, we have 4800. Frame rate was 29 and 18 on S10. Your score versus this model. So apparently my S10 scored better than 93% of other S10s. Huh, I guess my S10 is one of the better ones anyway. Oh, and there's the temperature, 47 after everything. And 42 on the S21. And apparently mine scored better, 16% better than other S21s. And there's some 85%. Oh, this is interesting. 85% than all other devices, not just, Samsung, just all other devices. And this one's 56%. Anyway, so for what did we learn today? S21 is faster for most things. But what about RAM management? I highly doubt this is open still. It crashed on both. Actually, wait, what? Okay, I didn't expect it to not crash on the S10. Well, this is making the S21 look bad. This is... okay. I have no words actually right now. Okay, that was basically the same on both. We can't really test the camera app because it will just show up as, you can't really tell when it crashes. If it crashes, that's fine. Let's test Twitter actually. We'll be able to tell Twitter. Both the same. Game Launcher, both the same. Geekbench, both the same. 3D-Mark, both the same. How about the games we had loaded up? Asphalt, both had to reload. Makes sense. Call of Duty, both had them running still. Okay, but for some reason the S21 had less apps in memory than the S10. And part of it honestly is because of camera app on the S21. It just uses a lot of the processor in the S21. So if you're using the camera app on the S21, get ready for some of your apps to not stay in the memory as much as they should. Anyway, that is the test. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this long video of me going through a bunch of extensive tests on both phones. And I will see you guys next time.